Good morning. It is Thursday, May 15, 2025. It's just after 10:30 a.m. on the East Coast. This is Rob Sin at CEO Technician on X, at Goldfinger on CO.ca. This is a quick Thursday morning update just because I wanted to hear my own voice. No, I'm kidding. There's a couple of things that are worth discussing and pointing out this morning. So here's the gold chart. You can see I've got my little lines on it here and there. Did you guys see this got down to 31.23 overnight? 31.23. So this is literally, we hit 34.48 just over a week ago. So we're talking about more than a $320 drop, almost in a straight line. So look, I'm gonna just call it like I see it. I think gold is pretty oversold here. It went down at 31.23. It was. We bounced about $75 an ounce, a little more than 2%. Big next, let's say 30 hours, right? Between now and Friday's close. The blue line, which you can see, the blue dotted line, about 32.12. That is going to be a big test to see if gold can close back above that level on a weekly closing basis. If we do not, let's say it closes 31.80 or 31.90, leaves a lot of indecision heading into next week. I wouldn't say that's a confirmation that 31.23 was the end of the correction. But if we do close, let's say we close 32.25, I would be very encouraged by that. And I would say the odds would then tilt in favor of the correction, this early May washout, because it really was. It's been a washout. Over $300 an ounce in a week might be over, quite frankly. Looking at the daily chart, which is a different chart view, notice this 40-day moving average. I mean, a moving average is a moving target by definition, but you can notice in late February and early April, it lined up pretty close with important lows during pullbacks during this gold uptrend. Well, it's coming in right around 3,200. So that just adds more weight to this 3,200, 3,212 zone. So really watching that closely into Friday's close. As far as the gold miners, Agnico Eagle, pretty much everybody agrees this is the best one. About a 20% correction since the April high at 126. Yesterday's candlestick was basically a perfect doji. And when you get this sort of candlestick with a very small daily range, basically closed right where it opened, well, that's a sign, that's a potential turning point candlestick. That could mean the end of this downtrend is near. So let's watch AEM today and tomorrow. Let's see how it closes the week. But 20% drawdown off the highs. Definitely some big levels of support around 100, 101. So we basically got almost all the way down to that big long-term support level. It could be set up for a bounce. And look at these open gaps in this chart, some really big open gaps in case gold does get its mojo back. Newmont, um, 48 is a big support level. We've tested it, 48.40 this morning. You could see we also got down to 48.27 on Wednesday. So Newmont definitely one to watch here. It could bounce nicely off of this $48 support level. If it doesn't, if it goes through it like a hot knife through butter, then you probably know gold's got to test lower, maybe down to 3,000. But big levels here, big levels in these big gold miner charts. Um, I'm going to just say MindMed quickly. It's not a miner, but this setup is still very much in play here. I think this should be on everybody's radar if you trade stocks. Pretty clear the breakout level is $7. Check out my Substack. There's some posts on there about MindMed recently, including some premium posts, Goldfinger Capital on Substack. Juniors, let's take a look at the Ridgeline news release first. So Ridgeline RDG on the venture. They've been drilling at the Big Blue project in Nevada. The stock has been trending lower for the last several weeks. Um, and, we got an update today from the company. Just going to put it simply, I appreciate Ridgeline being blunt, being very clear in this news, being honest as well. Basically, um, you can say that the first two holes probably didn't drill into anything impressive at Big Blue. You can see the company completed two deep core holes from the western flank of the Delker Butte mine. Upon completion of the first two holes, they decided to add a third hole, drilling from back of the east side. So if they drilled two from the west and then they said, let's go drill from the east, that's probably a sign drilling from the west was not the optimal orientation, right? So we can, I'm interpreting probably those are dusters, the first two holes. I don't know. I'd be happy to be wrong about that. Hole 3 is still in progress, but drilling has been slow. And the VPX Mike Hart says as much in his quote, difficult drilling conditions at depth in the third hole, but production is back on track. Okay, good news. And we expect to fully test the high grade copper skarn target horizon over the next few weeks. Okay, so and actually they're saying here expect to be complete over the next 7 to 10 days, and the assays for the entire program will be released together by end of June. Right, so hole 3 still kind of a wild card. We don't know how this is going to finish up. First two holes probably not great. That's Big Blue. So no reason to really jump in and buy the stock on that, but telling us about Atlas, right? So Atlas, near surface gold oxide project it's in between the Battle Mountain and Carlin trends there, and it's a Carlin type gold system, right? So they're going to drill three hole, what is it? Yeah, three 500-meter holes, targeting shallow oxide Carlin type gold at Atlas, and that'll be coming up here in the next few weeks. So basically in June, and then drilling at Selena also this summer, right? Probably starting that program by the end of June. And if you need a reason to own Ridgeline and care about the company, this graphic is it. This is a very strong MT anomaly at depth. So is it a skarn? Is it a CRD? Well, we're going to find out this summer, but that is a hell of a geophysical anomaly that lines up um, along some key structural corridors right next to a porphyry system next door, right? So you could go into that in a lot more detail, but this is a hell of a target and it's really exciting. So big summer, big year ahead for Ridgeline, but the news release about Big Blue is a bit of a yawn, a little bit of a disappointment, but that's the nature of the beast, right? It's a low probability business, but that's why Ridgeline is drilling like 4 projects this year across its portfolio, including um, 2 with its earn actually 5 projects, so 3 with its earn-in partners and 2 on its 100% owned ground. And I am long Ridgeline, and I'd be happy to buy down here at the support level, 17, 18 cents. Let's move on to American Eagle Gold. So AE on the TSX Venture. Here's the AE chart. It has been consolidating for months. Since early January or mid January, American Eagle Gold has been consolidating. So, we're 4-month consolidation between 40 cents and 55 cents. When this range breaks, it could be really powerful, especially if it breaks out to the upside. You have this gap. There's an open gap over here. I think that's 65 cents. That could get filled in pretty quickly. So, from a technical standpoint, I really like AE here and the potential for what a 35% move to the upside from current levels. But the company gave us this update this morning. potential new mineralized trends at the NAC copper gold porphyry project in the Babine region of BC. A lot to unpack in here, but I just want to give you my quick takeaway before surely delving into this in more detail over the next couple of weeks. They've identified, so I think there's, to me, there's maybe three big takeaways from this. Um, the young porphyry dike. So they've identified several phases of relatively young porphyry dikes that are chalcopyrite and bornite bearing. So this is really important because by identifying these and then mapping them and then following them with the drill, they increase their odds greatly of hitting wide intervals or higher grades of copper, right? Chalcopyrite and bornite is what we want to drill into. So these are young um, porphyry dikes, and there's several phases of them, right? Um, and so, yeah, that's the big takeaway here. And then also the Babine porphyry stock, right? Like in all the historical maps, which I don't have up here right now because I just have up this news release, but in all the historical maps, everything we've seen at NAC the past couple of years, there's always like this Babine. There's a blob. There's like a rectangular blob in the center of this property, and it was always like, we need to drill around it. Well, maybe that's not the case because the new interpretation is the Babine porphyry stock is a composite. So what does composite mean? Well, there's been multiple phases of intrusions, right? This has been active. This Babine porphyry stock is not just, it was not one intrusive event, not one magmatic event, and then it sat there dormant for the rest of history. No, there's been multiple phases. And actually, I'm interested to speak with Charlie and Neil in more detail about what their interpretation is and then um, how many different uh, intrusive phases there might be, and how for how many millions of years it might have been magmatically active. But that's a really good learning that the company has come to during this off season, and um, there this so these trends that they've identified from the gravity survey that they did recently. Well, the trends go right into the porphyry stock, right? These corridors essentially, and so that means some drilling into the porphyry stock this summer, quite possibly. Um, and quite frankly, I think that we already knew we wanted to test up here to the northwest into this uh, copper enriched north zone. And definitely we wanted to drill test down here to the south, to the southeast, into what they call the IP embayment zone. And so this just, I think, the structural interpretation just reaffirms that these are priority areas, stepping out to the south of the porphyry stock, and also, well, we can extend to the southeast here. Maybe there's a lot of room to step out along this trend here that moves basically to the edge of the map to the southeast, right? Um, and then the CEO quote 30,000 meters of drilling at NAC to begin, I would say, in the next 2 weeks, to certainly by the end of the month. And the magnetic survey has enhanced the team's ability to plan more drill holes and increase confidence to pursue ambitious step outs. So that's really a big takeaway for me about this season's program. Is not We're not just going to sit around this area. There's going to be some really ambitious step out drilling in these areas, and also here to the north, maybe northwest. Exciting, very exciting year ahead. And basically they said they're going to unveil the drill plan, looks like, next week. Also, This is worth checking out. So Steve Garvin is a PhD geoporphyry expert, did a video, hour-long video about NAC, and also there's a slide presentation as well. So a lot to chew on here in 2025 from American Eagle Gold, and the chart. What a nice bottoming consolidation. You could call this a rectangle pattern. Um, Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everybody has a great rest of your week and a peaceful weekend. Thanks for watching and have a peaceful weekend.